Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn class 9 science biology. Chapter 6 tissues. Today we are going to learn about plant tissues. In our last video we had learned the definition of tissue. That what is tissue? That cells which are specializing in one function are grouped together and they form a tissue. Means a group of cells which are same in shape and same in function. That group of cells is called as tissue. Today we will learn about the plant tissue. So let's start the plant tissue. Plant tissue is mainly categorized into two parts: meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues which have the ability to divide, whereas permanent tissues which lose the ability to divide further. We will learn permanent tissue afterwards. Now we will learn meristematic tissue which have the ability to divide. Meristematic tissue is further classified into apical meristematic tissue, lateral meristematic tissue, and intercalary meristematic tissues. Now, one by one, in detail, we learn about these meristematic tissues. We will learn meristematic tissue. Introduction. You have seen a plant to grow from seed to a big tree. Of course, you all have seen that from a small seed of a plant, a whole big tree is formed. Have you ever wondered if a plant grows from top or bottom? Or how it gets bigger around? In this video, we will explore the role of meristematic tissue in plant growth. So, let's begin. What is meristematic tissue? Meristos is a Greek word. It means dividing. From this word, the tissue name is meristematic tissue. Just imagine a new unprogrammed computer. A very new computer which is just now you unpack it. It's like a blank slate. It can be only run when program is installed in it. Until and unless we are not install a program, it does not have any work. It cannot run. And the main thing is that the computer can only execute those programs which are installed in it. जो प्रोग्राम हमने इंस्टॉल किए हैं वही चलेंगे. Other programs which are not installed cannot run by the computer. In same way, meristematic tissue is like unprogrammed computer. It is made up of cells that haven't been assigned a role within a plant. Meristematic tissue cells does not have any assigned role that what work they have to do. Such cells are called undifferentiated cells. That is, they do not have a particular shape, particular size, and particular function. So let's first see the properties of meristematic tissues. Now let's move up to the properties of meristematic tissue. That which kind are present into meristematic tissue. Okay. Cells within meristematic tissue are self-renewing. What is the meaning of self-renewing? That they can divide further every time they are dividing. Second thing, additionally, all cells are living cells. All cells present in meristematic tissue cells are living cells. Additionally, cells have thin cell wall. You can see here in this image that very thin cell walls you can see over here, and large prominent nucleus. can see here the large prominent nucleus. This is in the between the center of the cell. Now, why there is no vacuoles present in the cell? Generally, what is the function of the vacuole? We had learned in our last previous videos. The function of the vacuole is to store food, store energy, store waste material, etc. But as this meristematic cells has only one function. What is the function? The function of division. That is why no need to storage. These cells are metabolically highly active, so no need of vacuoles over here in this cell. Whereas they have the one prominent nucleus in the center of the cell. What is the function of the nucleus? The main function of the nucleus to make copies, means division. As meristematic cells has to divide further, they have a one particular nucleus. These are dividing cells and no intercellular space between the cells. You can see over here that between two cells there is no space. All cells are tightly packed. You can see in this image. So I think you dear students, you are clear with the properties of the meristematic cells. That first, cells are self-renewing, means they can divide further all the time. They are dividing only. Secondly, all cells are living cells. Third, cells have thin cell wall, very thin cell walls, cells having no vacuoles present. I already told you the reason that why the meristematic tissues or meristematic cells don't have the vacuoles. Large prominent nucleus as they had to divide further and no intercellular space, means there is no space between two cells. Okay, after completing the properties of meristematic tissue, now further moving the types of meristematic tissues. That already we had learned that there are three types of meristematic tissues: apical meristematic tissue, lateral meristematic tissue, and intercalary meristematic tissue. So now we will learn the apical meristematic tissue. It is also called as apical meristem. Okay. Apical meristem, where it is present in tips of roots and stems. You can see over here the apical meristem is present in the roots or in the tips. Tips means the very begin point, very top point. It is present in the tips of stem and tips of roots. Dear students, please remember this. Apical meristem is present in the tips of stems and tips of roots. What is the function of apical meristem? Apical meristem helps the plant increase in length. That if we are wondering that how plant grows, so plant grows upside and downside with the help of which tissue? With the help of apical meristematic tissue. Means it helps the plant to grow towards the sun and down to soil. Now the second type of meristematic tissue we have to learn, that is lateral meristem. Lateral means side. You dear students, you already know the meaning of lateral, that the meaning of lateral is a side. Yes, so lateral meristem, it is also known as cambium. It is also known as cambium. So let's see the lateral meristem. Where is the lateral meristem present? It is present in stem and roots of the plant. See here in this figure, this is the stem of the plant and this is the root of the plant. Apical meristem is present in the tips, on the tips of stem and roots, whereas lateral meristem is present in the lateral sides, on the lateral sides of the stems and roots. What is the function of lateral meristem? Lateral meristem helps the plant increase the girth. What do you mean by girth? That as roots increases and the stem increases, which is then converted into bark of the tree, that is called as girth. So the function of lateral meristem is the helps the plant to increase the girth. Third, responsible. It is lateral meristem is responsible for producing bark on woody trees. That if you ever see a bark of a tree, the bark of a tree contains cambium tissues, or we can say lateral meristematic tissues. So remember the lateral meristematic tissue function, that it helps in the plant increases from its stem, branches and roots. Means it increases the size of the roots also and increases the size of the horizontally size of the stem also. Okay, so this is the second type of meristematic tissue, that is lateral meristem. Two meristematic tissue we have learned: apical meristematic tissue and lateral meristematic tissue. Now we are moving to the third meristematic tissue, that is intercalary meristem. This is the third type of meristematic tissue. Where it is present at the base of leaves or internodes. In this figure you can see that if suppose this is a stem of a plant, from here one branch occur, from here one branch, or we can say one leaf. So this intercalary meristem is present at the base of the leaves. Means base of the leaves means from where the leaf start growing, from base of the leaves and between the internodes. What is the function of this intercalary meristem? The function of intercalary meristem helps in increasing length of internodes. Intercalary meristem increases the length of internodes. You can see over here in this figure, this is called one node, this is called another node. From where the point, the leaf it start growing, that point is called as node, and the distance between two nodes is called as internode. The distance between two nodes is called as internode. So what is the function of intercalary meristem? The intercalary meristem is present over here. So what it will do? It increases the length of the internode. It increases the length of the internode. So we have learned the three types of meristematic tissue, that is apical meristem, lateral meristem, which is also called as cambium, and intercalary meristem. So meristematic tissue is completed over here. Now we will learn that what happened to old meristematic tissue. That, as I told you, that the main function of this meristematic tissue is only the division, because plant has to grow up, and the growth of the plant is occurs due to the help of the meristematic tissue only, because meristematic tissue, meristematic cells are undifferentiated cells. They are immature cells. They have only one function, to grow up. But what happened to the old meristematic tissue? All meristematic tissues or cells lose the capacity to divide and transform into permanent tissue. For better understand, see the figure over here. This is one cell. Okay, from one cell, due to the division process, other two cells are produced. Yes. This process is called self-renewal, means making product of same type of cells from one cell is called as self-renewal. As we know that meristematic cells are self-renewal cells, means they can make copies with them own. Now, after what happens, after this meristematic cells becomes old, they lose the capacity or ability to divide and become a differentiated cells. They become differentiated cells. This whole process is called differentiation. What is differentiation? That the process of taking up a permanent shape, a permanent size, and function is called differentiation. That old meristematic cells lose the capacity to divide and transform into permanent cells. These permanent cells now has a particular work to do, and this whole process is called as differentiation. As we had previously learned, plant tissue is mainly of two types: meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. So actually the permanent tissue is made from meristematic tissue only. Remember, when meristematic cells becomes differentiated cells, at that time the cells are converted into permanent cells. Okay, so now we will move up to the permanent. As we had learned that plant tissue is mainly of two types: meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue have its three different classifications: apical meristematic tissue, lateral meristematic tissue, and intercalary meristematic tissue. Second type of main tissue, that is permanent tissue, which lose ability to divide further. Now, why they are called as permanent? Actually, permanent are also divided into two types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Now we are learning simple permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissue we will learn afterwards. Why they are called as simple permanent tissue? Because they have simple structure. The tissues which are come under the simple permanent tissue, they have simple structure. And second, the cells which are present in that tissue all cells are same, means same size and same shape. That is why they are come into the simple permanent tissue. Now, which tissue are come under the simple permanent tissue? Parenchyma, Collenchyma, and Scelerenchyma. Parenchyma, Collenchyma, and Scelerenchyma. These three tissues are included into the simple permanent tissue. We will learn in detail about these three simple permanent tissue in detail. So first, yes. So you can see here in the figure parenchymal cells. This is a transverse section of parenchymal cells, that the cell wall is very thin. Cell wall of the parenchymal cell is very thin. Second main property is they have large vacuole. Another important point is they have large vacuole. You can see here in this figure the empty space present between the cell is called a vacuole. And third is they have intercellular space between them. You can see here the space is present between two cells. Each and every cell has some space between two cells. This space is called as intercellular space. So these are the properties of parenchymal cells, that they are the permanent cells. Cell wall is very much thin, they have large vacuole, and they have intercellular space between cells. Now we will see the functions of parenchymal cells. Functions of parenchymal cells. The first function is parenchyma provides supports to plant and also stores. For example, do you like to eat potatoes? If so, you are taking advantage of the plant storing starch in the form of potatoes. A potato grows as the parenchyma cells divide and their central vacuole filled with starch. Means parenchyma provides supports to plants and also stores food. This is the first function. Now the next function. In leaves, they contain chloroplast, which helps in photosynthesis. We know that the chloroplast, which having chlorophyll pigment, the leaves have the chloroplast. The chloroplast have chlorophyll, which is green color pigment. The function of chloroplast or chlorophyll is to perform photosynthesis. So, as sometimes leaves or parenchyma contains chloroplast and doing the process of photosynthesis, they are also called as Scelerenchyma. Remember, this is the very important function of the parenchyma. That why parenchyma is called as Scelerenchyma? Because sometimes parenchyma have the chloroplast which during the process of photosynthesis, hence it is called as Scelerenchyma. The next function, in aquatic plants, parenchymal cells contain large air cavities which provide buoyancy. What is buoyancy? Buoyancy is one physical quantity which helps the plant to float on water. As we know that aquatic plants can be float on water. Why? Because in such kind of plants, parenchyma cells have very much large air cavities, and due to that large air cavity, aquatic plants can float on water, and hence sometimes the parenchyma are also called as parenchyma. So these are the functions of the parenchyma. Now we are moving to the second simple permanent tissue, that is parenchyma. Humans and animals have bones to provide support and structure, while plants don't have bones but do contain variety of structural cells that have different composition and function. Okay, so we will first see the property of collenchymal cells. Collenchymal cells are elongated cells with irregular thick cell walls. You can see here in this image, these are the transverse section image of the collenchymal cells, that at particular places the cell wall is thick, not whole the cell wall is thick. You can see at the corner only, you can see over here, you can see, or you can see at some of the point the cell wall is thick. So this irregular thick cell walls, the function of this irregular thick cell wall is to provide support and structure. Second thing is, cells are living cells, as parenchymal cells are also living cells. Where these collenchymal cells are found, they are found under the epidermis and outer layer of the cell. Collenchymal cells are present under the epidermis. Now we will move up to the functions of collenchymal cells. Collenchymal cells provide structural support, protecting the plant by serving as inner framework, much like bones do for humans, animals. The main function of collenchymal cells. Second thing is that cells allows easy bending in various parts of plant like leaf and stem. Many of the plants you have seen, dear students, that they are bended, that branches are bended, that stem is bended, sometimes leaves are also bended. So this bending property is provided by the collenchymal cells. Third function is, it provides mechanical support to withstand a plant by heavy rains, high winds and other stresses. That it provides mechanical support to the plants, that plant can able to withstand properly in heavy rains, high winds and other stresses. This is about the function of the. We will see the property of sclerenchymal cells. Plants are very different from the animals, as I told you. For example, since plants do not have bones, for structure and support they must have cell walls around all of their cells. This leads to the need for very unique cells in plants. So sclerenchymal cells are specialized plant cells that exist to provide strength and support. Cells are long and narrow. You can see the cells are long. Sclerenchymal cells are very long and narrow. Cells are dead. This is a very important point, that parenchymal and collenchymal cells are living cells, whereas sclerenchymal cells are dead cells. Cell walls are thickened due to lignin. You can see that cell wall around the cell, whole the cell wall is thickened. And this is thickened due to lignin. What is lignin? Lignin is a chemical substance which acts as a cement, which hardens the, and you can see that no intercellular space between the cells. There is no intercellular space between any of the cells. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the sclerenchymal cells. Now moving to the functions of sclerenchyma cells. The very main function, and I can say the main focus of the sclerenchymal cell is strictly on support and structure of the plant. So, as cells are strong due to lignin, thick, that provide most of the support to the plant. For example, husk of coconut. We have seen the husk of coconut. The outer covering or outer layer of the coconut, it is made up with the sclerenchymal cells, and hard covering of seeds and nuts, that is walnut, almond, peanut, that hard covering. In that hard covering also, which tissue is present? Sclerenchyma tissue is present. So here we had completed the meristematic tissue, three types of meristematic tissue, and simple permanent tissue, that is parenchyma, sclerenchyma and chlorenchyma.